Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This week we were on holiday in Rostrevor in Northern Ireland, and I just thought I would make videos of some of our adventures and share them with you. As usual, I think with the holiday vlog it's going to be broken into two parts because I always kind of film more than I intended to. This is just when we first arrived, and I love whenever you're greeted by the little signs in Rostrevor that have quotes that kind of make you think about things. And we usually park in the village and just go into the fairy glen first. It has a really magical feel to it, which I don't feel like you can capture fully on camera. It's just really still and peaceful, and I love listening to the water running, and yeah, there's just something like in the atmosphere that feels special about it. And we were there last summer when the weather was quite hot, and we went paddling in the fairy glen, and now every time the girls are anywhere near a river they want to get into it. And it was actually quite cold this day, even though it was like a dry, beautiful day, so I persuaded them to wait until the summer when we're there. But I can see why they like it. Like, it is kind of special, and I don't know, I kind of feel like this trip in a way was sort of bittersweet because I had been there last year with someone that wasn't with us this time, and it just makes you view it all differently, although it also is a place that me and the girls have gone to for years, so I feel like I have a lot of special memories there, basically, just different times of life, and it's something you can return to that it feels like it's always waiting for us, and it doesn't really change. And this is just in the playground. My daughter was pretending she was tired, but as usual, that didn't last long because she's incapable of sitting still for a second. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this turned into a fight right after this with the basket swing. And I feel like the girls are getting to that stage where they're getting so big now that soon playgrounds will be too small. And I like that they update this sign outside the coffee shop there each day. And we stopped in for some ice cream and ice lollies for the girls and a coffee for me, and I love the view from the window here. You can see the whole way down the hill, and yeah, there's just something really special about it. I can't think of another cafe that is the same as it. And I had booked an Airbnb, and we were due to check in at about 3, but we went early and just explored before it was time to do that. And yeah, this is just after we walked out of the cafe and back to where we'd started, and then we went for a walk around the village. And the girls have a shop that they love. It's a little souvenir shop, and it has loads of little gifts in it that are just really cute and special. And it's actually really reasonably priced. I find that a lot of shops now with kids things in it, everything is extortionate, even if it's gonna last for about 3 days. But this place, they still have toys from it, from a few years ago, and they're pocket money toys that they can afford themselves, so it's a special place for them to go to. And that's the wee shop that's purple with the green sheep outside. It's called Good Crack, and it is owned by a lady who's from Australia, and she moved to Rostrevor because she visited it and fell in love with it and didn't want to leave again, and now she sells locally made crafts and things. I just love spending time looking around the shop. It's one of those shops as well where you don't feel rushed and you feel like you can just take your time. And I found some cool earrings when I was there. They had little eyes on them and with eyelashes, and I got some funny like quirky cat ones too, but it's all really affordable. The girls found plenty of little like fidget toys and things, and yeah, they just like used up every penny that they had of holiday money. But it's funny watching them like figuring out exactly what they can afford. And at one point my daughter like traded me 3p for £10, which was kind of funny. I like these little pocket pebbles as well, they're really cute. And we sat here for a while and I got to write in my journal and just like reflect on things. And the girls had bought themselves like some sweets. They got like sweetie sushi and pizza, and they actually like ate it so quickly I didn't even see them devour it. But yeah, I think if they have something to snack on, it keeps them sitting for longer, so sometimes it's not a bad thing. And I always think like on holidays it's okay if they have sweets and things, because it's like a special few days. And we ended up doing lots of like bird watching here and trying to figure out what each type of bird was, because so many like came and went while we were just sitting peacefully there. And I love the fact that it never seems to be busy there, and like you're not fighting for a place to sit or to get a chance to go into the river whenever it's warmer. Like, I don't know why, it's just always so quiet. The girls love this wall, and I was kind of torn between like worrying they might fall and then just like letting them have the freedom to just enjoy themselves. So then they were performing dances for me, which is like their thing that they're obsessed with. And we had a no TV week. Like the place we were staying in didn't have a TV anyway. And we've had times before where we've done that at home, but I was kind of happy about that because it makes them more creative and it forces them to come up with their own ideas instead of just sort of staring blankly at a screen. But I think at first they were kind of like intimidated by the idea of not having a TV, and then that just kind of showed me like it's become too much of an addiction. The sky was really beautiful that day and I could see the moon as well. And yeah, we just stayed there for a long time, and sometimes I just feel like sitting on the ground as well just helps. Like it makes me feel like I'm a teenager again, and like I'm focused on the simple things in life instead of like running around and always trying to like accumulate things and like achieve things. And at the holiday house they had some board games, so we played Monopoly. This was the girls' first time playing the adult version of Monopoly, and I think they enjoyed it. We didn't spend too much time in the house while we were there. We went out again after we had dinner in it, and it was a really bright, lovely evening, so we went for like a long walk. And I basically booked like somewhere different this time. It was an Airbnb that was like really good value, and it was like a budget option, I guess. It was kind of like basic, but I really like wanted to spend all of our time outdoors, so to me it was kind of just like a place to sleep. But it was funny, it was kind of like bizarre, like the setup of it, because there was no living room, so like the only place to sit was in the kitchen at the table. But I don't mind that anyway, and my life doesn't revolve around TV, so in that respect like it didn't bother me. But it was just strange because I thought that it was a small property with no living room, but it turned out the living room was just locked and you weren't allowed into it or the back garden, and the bins were out there and stuff, so it was just like a bit strange. And I'm glad I didn't overthink it at the time, because I was talking about it with my mom after the event, and she was like, maybe it's like a Norman Bates situation, like, you know, in the film Psycho. And I think if I had thought about that at the time I wouldn't have been able to sleep. But yeah, it was just really strange, and it's like one of those things now where I'll look back on it and be like, I want to solve the mystery of what that was about, but it's probably something really dull and not as exciting as my mind is making it. This was at the Narnia Trail in Kilbrony Park. Yeah, the girls get really excited about it too. And yeah, this is just like the wardrobe door, and it's got like different, it's got a trail that you can follow around. I always go the wrong way, but the girls like to find all of the things. It was a bit sad in a way because I feel like they haven't maintained it very well, and I can see a huge difference in it compared to like a few years ago when we went, that a lot of the wood has rotted, and like there's a beaver that its feet have kind of rotted away and it's now propped up against something instead of like standing freely. But like it's still a really beautiful place, and the forest is really like magical, but I just wish that they would put more time into maintaining it. And I think there is like a general sort of lazy attitude around there. Like there was a funny moment where I got locked in one of the public toilets and I could only get out because the girls got me out basically. And I told the lady at the reception desk about the lock and how someone might get stuck, and she just looked at me like I had 6 heads, and like she didn't understand why I was even telling her, like it had nothing to do with them. This is a walk the next morning from the house into the village. We saw this blossom tree along the way, and it was funny because the kids weren't off school there, and we were staying near the primary school, so we saw them all walking into school, and I think everybody in the area was kind of puzzled as to why the girls were off school. I think they just thought they were taking a wee day off. This is when my daughter started to do impressions of Peppa Pig, which I put up as a short.
I'm Peppa Pig, I'm on holiday.
After breakfast we went back to Kilbrony Park. I feel like we just spent the whole time we were there in the park, but it's beautiful, and they had changed the sign that day. After a long walk and a play in the playground, it was time for another ice lolly for the kids, and then we just headed back to the house. This is like a cafe that we have never actually made it to because it never seems to be open when we're there. I think it's called the Old Schoolhouse or something. We then drove up to the upper car park in Kilbrony Park so that we could walk up to the big stone. We'd gone to it once before but not in a while, and it's very like uphill, but going to the upper car park apparently cuts out like 2 hours of the walk. And I get lost easily, so it just feels like the more sensible thing to do. And we had like a picnic at a wee table near here, and then we walked up to the top. I think it only takes about 15 minutes, and the scenery is really beautiful and the view is definitely worth it. And the girls spotted like every little waterfall along the way, and they always have to like push the boundaries, like when it comes to doing things that are potentially dangerous. But I felt like with this, the worst that could happen was they were going to get a little bit wet, and the water wasn't deep or anything. And they just love getting like wet and jumping in like mud and climbing places, so I don't want to curtail them too much because I kind of think kids should be allowed to be free. This walk's going to take a long time, isn't it? And this was at the big stone. The girls always want to like climb on it, but it's way higher than you think it's going to be. I have seen adults sitting on top of it before, but I can't even attempt to help them up on it. The view was really amazing, and the last time we went there it was a really foggy day, so we couldn't really see as far, but it was really beautiful that day, and I think this was my favourite part of the holiday. There was just something really special about it, and we just kind of hung out and sat on rocks and messed about and looked at the views. And it's just like a reminder that the best things really are free, because it didn't cost us any money apart from like a little bit of petrol to get there, and it was my favourite moment. So yeah, I think it just reminds you that simple things are important, and you can't really, like, you can pay for so many things, but you can't beat like a really amazing view and the air up there just felt so like fresh. I just love being in forests and on mountains and hills and like beside the sea and near rivers and anywhere like that. It just like stills my mind, but I can never decide which is my favourite. Do you have a favourite one that you like to visit, and where do you feel like you're most peaceful? And on the descent, the girls spotted another waterfall, so they had to stop and try to throw themselves in it as well. And they just liked this little bridge, and I didn't get too involved in trying to stop them playing because I knew that it wasn't actually dangerous, but I was waiting for one of them to get their foot wet because then I knew I would hear about it for the rest of the walk home, and of course that was exactly what happened. And then my daughter ended up removing her socks and giving them to me as like a present to keep in my handbag, and then complained about her wet foot for a long time. But I feel like those moments are just inevitable with kids. I always think my kids seem like at their happiest when they've got like a stick and they're just like poking at mud or water. I don't know what it is about it, but they just love it. Later that day we went to Warren Point, which is like a little town not far away. It's like a 10-minute drive from where we were staying, and this is just the park there. It was really pretty. I always love this park. It's nice whenever the flowers are starting to come out, and it has a bandstand, which always like makes it a winner with my kids because they like to perform on them. And it was really quiet. I think it was a good time to go actually because the schools weren't off yet, and we had like all of the public spaces to ourselves really. And yeah, we just kind of had a wander. There's a little playground at the back of here, and then the girls did their usual dance performances for me. And I admire their ability to just get up and do whatever they want in public and not worry about what people think, because I feel like I was really constrained by that as a kid and probably as an adult too, and just like being afraid of looking stupid or people making fun of you. But they just like go for it and do whatever they feel like doing and don't worry about who's watching. And I really think that that's like one good thing that they have got from being part of the generation that they're in, because I just feel like people are more encouraging nowadays in school, and like you're allowed to be free and dance and things like that without somebody just like passing comment on it in a mean way. And then we just walked down to the waterfront and looked across Carlingford Loch. I love all the palm trees along the edge, and the views here are lovely too. It was a really warm day at this point. I got a coffee from a little place called Church Lane, and a lady who worked in the little souvenir shop in Rostrevor had recommended it to me. It doesn't look like much, but the coffee is really amazing. And I would never really get a coffee to take away because I kind of like the whole cafe atmosphere, but it was such a nice day that I could see why people enjoy doing that. And we finished our afternoon out with the girls getting another ice cream, but from a shop they spotted that did these like huge sundaes for kids with like a little hippo on one and Oreos on the other, and we just sat beside the ferry glen and we pondered what had happened to a scooter in the water. Stash. And what is your story of what happened to the scooter?
I've got two reasons.
Yeah.
The first one is, I think that someone ripped on the hair and threw it in. And the other things, I think that someone touched it and threw it in.
Yeah, and what do you think happened?
I think that somebody didn't like it and they threw it. I have a few reasons. And I thought that they could have left it there if they went to see something. And then it slid in and then they were upset. They couldn't get it because it was really like cold.
Because it was in 1 inch of water. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you soon for part 2 of our holiday adventure. Bye.